me switch pod. The boys are
Yes,
back.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How are you, Chris?
Good as look, all good. Well rested. We're back. We're back in action, and we're back with the big one this weekend
Yeah.
at the park. But we had that little break. Sharks doing the double. Yeah, I'm good, man. How you doing? How are you doing, Kodes?
Yeah,
52 something, I think. Yeah. It's
we don't dwell on
Nokia
the past, man. We don't dwell on the past. Let bygones be bygones.
No, but just
Especially in a
say,
bye week.
just
Especially in
just
a
to
bye
remind.
week. We must let it go. Let it go. The Dan Carters of
Okay.
podcasting here to give you our opinions, our
Mm-hmm,
flagrant
mm-hmm.
takes. Church announcements. You can catch us here, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and please subscribe. Also, let us know your views. Let us know your opinions, especially Sharks and Lions supporters this week. Um,
Yeah.
a lot of news, primarily the
Hey.
Sharks, or not a lot of news, but
Yeah.
the
No.
news is the Sharks. JP Pietersen being named as head coach.
Rightly so.
It's rightly so. I've always looking at it. At first, I was like, okay, maybe guys take over under 19s, whatever. Then they get Curry Cup. You're
Mm.
like, is he just getting fast track because he's a player, or is there substance? But I
Yeah.
think we've seen that there's substance, and
Mm.
you know, the more and more you see, the more and more you like. Um,
Mm.
Particularly the rough patches that they had in Curry Cup, then the good patches that they had in Curry Cup, and then what you've seen
Mm.
now when he's taken over. I think he's just impressed more and more and more. He seems like he's a big
Yeah.
culture guy, a big identity guy. We've seen now in the
You
reports
see.
that he said he sat down with the players and he said, "What is the identity? What is the culture?" The players that they couldn't say anything. They had nothing to say. They're just like, "Chief,
Like
we
if
just
it
come
ain't
to
about the
work."
money, if it ain't about the money, I'm not there. I don't know. I'm here to get
You know,
paid. That's all I know.
it's just span here. So I just come to work,
I'm here
I
to
do
get
my
paid.
hours, then I
I
go
clock
home.
in, clock out.
Yeah, so and then again they said he had to sit down with the players, primarily
Mm.
Andre Esterhazen, who he made captain, to say like, okay, what is the game plan? What are we gonna do? But also,
Yeah.
what are we gonna do with what we have?
Yeah.
With
And
what we
that's
have,
important.
how can we can't play a running game if we don't have running players. We can't play a
Yeah.
slow physical game if we don't have slow physical players. So he kind of putting the identity, putting that in. It's
Yeah.
it's change. It's good change. He's been
Yeah.
rewarded. It's good to see guys get rewarded, and it's good to see guys kind of exceed expectations as well.
Mm. Yeah. Look, because for me, I would have been surprised had they not made him head coach. I've been saying, give him the gig, let him do it, back him all the way. And I mean, we saw it. I know we said bygones, bygones. We saw it. The Sharks backing it up against the Stormers, and you can see there was actual coaching, even in terms of selection.
Yeah,
How he went about it, the game plan. You wanted to hit them. With the speed up front, then. So I think rightly so, he deserves it. And yeah, let's see what he can do, because clearly the players, even the senior players, some guys that are boxed, they're responding to him.
yeah,
There's guys that are all of a sudden starting to look better, finding their form. He's able to get something out of these guys. And yeah, look, not only him, but he's definitely a big driving force in that. I mean, he's a World Cup winner.
yeah.
He's a World Cup winner. At a time where I'm sure a lot of these guys, some of them were even watching the box. So already there's that respect. Those guys were still coming through the ranks. So already there's
Yeah,
that.
these guys, none of them saw plum play.
Yeah, you understand. So there's a disconnect a little bit. Touch on that. I think a while ago on that, in terms of the generation gap and the understanding.
Yeah.
And so no qualms. Scott
And
Matty as well
that
coming
goes
in
back to
there.
culture. That goes back to culture where it's like maybe, unfortunately, the old man was out of touch,
Yeah,
culture and those kinds of things where
it was a
maybe he didn't
different
connect to
Natal
the.
back then.
Yeah, I didn't
Uh,
connect. Yeah,
yeah,
it was Natal back then.
it was
uh,
different. It was different, even though, he had success and, in a new dawn as coach. But after that All Black gig for him, hey, things have just tanked,
yeah.
they just, and it happens. We've seen it happen to a lot of great coaches that have done great things. And look, he's contributed to the success of the Sharks, over a long period. So, but it was just time. And, the next guy that's also a former Shark as
But
well,
this is also the thing that I want to ask you is that from my understanding or from what
mhm.
I'm reading from what they're explaining to me is that Plum is still around and he's still around in kind of like an advisory capacity. So he's I don't know if it's like they're letting him see out his contract in a way where it's just like
Perhaps.
instead of just firing him and then just saying like just go home, it's like you
No,
can
they will
still
have to pay.
come.
We don't want to.
Yes,
They
yeah,
don't
for a
want to
guy
pay
sitting at home.
you. They're like, no, we don't want to pay you. Come,
So
come, clock in until
yeah,
until you're done. Until the paper says you're done, come clock in.
which they did to
Otherwise,
Klekani,
obviously,
but we now see so
you
so
see,
so my thing is now like he's essentially thrown Plum under the bus in a way, which I mean, but the truth is the truth. The truth is the
yeah, man.
truth.
And
He's also got his story to tell. He's got his pro.
it's like, no,
Yeah, no.
let
When
me
I
say a few
came,
things. Let me say a few things.
it's his testimony. It's his testimony. Let him speak. So I mean, I don't. I'm not saying like he threw him under the bus in a bad. No, he must say
Yeah,
this is where things were. This is where I've
yeah.
taken things,
Hmm.
and not in an arrogant way, but just to say these are the steps that we made. This is the progress that we made. But it's just a thing where it's like you Prem is still around, and
No,
you kind of like
no, but he's the guy now, and he has to take accountability for everything, right? So he's coming in and
yeah,
he's laying it bare to say, look, this is what I found, you know.
yeah,
Little did I know I was in the background, But the
mm.
funny thing is that all of them were part of it, So I get what you're saying, and I see what you're saying because it's not like they weren't there when all of this was happening, Because the question then is, then what did you do? Because you were there,
Well, I mean,
you
for him, JP Peterson is kind of like he's the only guy that can say like I was just doing curry cup. The rest of this is just you. This is you guys. This is you guys. But and also like we spoken of culture, how he said
yeah,
identity, culture. What are we doing? They've also appointed a players affairs and cultural coach, or it's a
yeah,
position that they're
man.
looking to fill.
They're
But this
doing
also, this
it's an
also
institution.
does this also I know like it's modern sports, they're bringing in these kinds of things, but it also goes to the thing of the past few years in the Sharks. There's kind of been that like inkling or thing where it's like maybe it's the player group, maybe there's certain guys in there that
Yeah,
they need to get rid of, and they've gotten rid of a few of them, and they're still getting rid of more.
yeah. There's still going
Yeah,
to be
so
some.
so it also feeds into that thing to say maybe that was also the problem. It wasn't just the coaching; it was also a part of the
Yeah,
player
no,
group
look,
that.
combination. I think combination as well of it. You're not always gonna just blame the coach, but because at the end of the day, it's what you used to say, quarters. I'll never forget that. I live by that. Is personal standard. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So the players' personal standard, as well, because at the end of the day, the coach is not the one that's making the tackle. Coach is not the one, executing a kick or a pass or whatever it is that his is to provide a structure, which it seems there wasn't. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, on the other side of it is that you are professional enough, all of you guys. You know, where's that leadership to say, okay, fuck, you know, there's no structure here. This is what we're gonna do. You know what I mean? And let's do. You know, so yes, definitely part of it. The players must also put their hands up and take accountability and say, look, they went in that zone, they weren't responding, and they also didn't contribute positively to try and
Yeah,
push whatever agenda it is for success within the team. You know, but change is good. Let's see how it goes. Hopefully, it doesn't now put a thing on. Sometimes when the guy's interim, hey, the results are good, and then
yeah,
they say, no, we want you, and then now, hey, the performance starts dipping because there's
yeah,
that comfortability. But I don't think we'll see that. I think from here on, the Sharks have started to show the quality, in terms of all the potential of being, a serious team. This season, yes, there's still some games, but it was too late, But in terms of building towards, going into Curry Cup and the following URC season, yeah, there's definitely, I think, a potential for finally, the Sharks getting to the summit, in most competitions.
yeah.
So I back JP. I do, So let's see, and I back the boys, man. I back the boys. I do.
The resources are there, but
Mm,
we'll continue to monitor the situation. Grant Williams visiting
yeah,
Mani Lubbock in the bye weeks there. You can see he's confirmed he won't be renewing. He's on his way to Japan. So
yeah,
yeah, we'll see. There's going to be movement with players as well. There's movement in the structures now, and all in
yeah,
all, given time, I guess then we can make a fair assessment of things.
yeah. Another thing that I think other news, where they used to say the Springboks between World Cups, they're not good, they don't win tests between World Cups. Now Boks are winning tests between World Cups. Now all of a sudden, no, they're peaking too soon and whatnot. So I think it just goes to show that you'll never satisfy the people, and the Boks will always be, that team that's always, on people's minds because,
Yeah,
because of the potential. I mean, all of the talent, Varsity Cup started, you're seeing, look, with everything that's been said, I still think that, you know, we are so fortunate because, yes, we're playing in Europe, playing in URC, all that exposure, different conditions, different game plans and tactics and things like that. For me, this is the time I want to go back and reiterate what I've always wanted. That we can see the dynasty can
yeah,
definitely be built. There's been, I think we've seen 4 levels.
yeah. I
So
think either. I think
yeah,
I actually think we are kind of there, whether or not we win the World Cup. I think because I mean the All Blacks were a dynasty even when they weren't
yeah,
winning. It's just the
yeah,
superiority. I think in the years back to back to back to back where we've been at that level, I think it's safe to say that it's just about a
yeah,
dynasty.
yeah. So and it's just about, but we need to cap it off with the
Yeah,
three. Starting with the series coming up when these guys come this side, I think it just all of that, of course, they say all of that to it's gonna build into the hype of,
yeah,
the incoming tours and yeah, it's you just can't wait. There's still a lot of rugby to get there, but
yeah,
it was something I was thinking about. I was laughing to myself to say, hey, look, at one time there was, no, they're not good between World Cups,
yeah,
and now you're good between World Cups. It's like, no, it's too soon, so,
yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how the international season comes, but yeah, still a long way away,
Yeah, these are the
still,
the dog days of the season. These are for the diehards. During
yeah,
bye weeks, we're
yeah,
still discussing things. I think
mm,
for me, my biggest takeaway, especially with Six Nations watching Ireland, was that they playing the old guys, and
yeah,
they've taken too long to pull out those old guys and put in new guys, and it's just like it's caused
Yeah.
issues. It's caused issues
Mm.
there where it's like, as much as I don't like a Faf de Klerk being kind of like pulled out of the team, it has to happen at some point, and
It
it's
has to
better
happen.
sooner than later. I
Yeah.
don't like Mostert, who he's basically on that fence of
Yeah.
just about being pulled, but it's better sooner than later. But our emotions
Mm.
and our love for these
Yeah.
guys, you want to see them play until they're 50 years old, but unfortunately, it's not going to
Mm.
happen. Where you've got
Yeah.
Ireland playing centers well into their 30s. You've got a fly half where it's maybe he should have been given more caps. So it's that's the thing where I'm seeing with the Springboks is that they've kind of timed it the right way. you know
Yes. And
they've even though it's not, like I said, it's not to some of our likings. I mean, those guys could still perform at a high level, but
yes.
unfortunately it's time to sub in some guys for some other guys.
Yeah. And I mean, also, as with the box, it's also the depth. The player
Yeah,
pool is so much bigger. So
yeah,
that's the
but
thing.
you can build depth,
Yeah,
so
but you
that I'm
can,
also,
true.
it'll take longer, it will take longer,
Yes.
but you can.
Yes, you can. But just the quality of it, though, as well,
Yeah,
is, we're in a fortunate position, man, and that's why I was, like, yes, like you say, with the dynasty, we're just about there. But I, I need them to be, man, in ICU. All these people, man, like on life support, because the Bucks are just so successful, and this team can get there,
yeah,
and it has to also start showing in the franchise teams. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's all well and good. Yes, it's nice when you look at the box national team highest level. We know the success rate, we know the results there. But at franchise level, I think also our teams, they need to,
yeah, we need to catch
start,
up in that respect too.
yeah, start catching up, and underlining that, where, and we said this before, our teams, where they need to go, be able to go anyway, and get a result, so yeah, and it starts with this weekend with the local derby.
Before we go there, I think let's just recap the
I'm
other
excited. That's why.
the other local derbies. We were fortunate enough to attend the Lions versus Bulls. You can go see our match day vlog. It was our last post, and yeah,
Yeah,
disappointing, disappointing. And we did highlight that in the vlog, in that
yeah,
it promised a lot. The Bulls delivered a lot. The Lions didn't on their part.
yeah.
And to sum it up, it was basically Bulls carries were automatic go forward, and the
Mm,
Lions just weren't competing on the ground, and they were just fanning out in defense. And then the Bulls
mm,
would continue with the carries, and it's just automatic gaining ground, gaining ground, gaining ground. And the other thing was is that every time the Lions were in like an attacking position, they get territory, they get possession, they'd turn it over, and then the Bulls would counter attack and
mm,
score. Or the Bulls would, they
mm.
would counter, kick a 50-22. Now you've got a line out, maul, pick, score. So whether it was not a
Yeah,
whether it's a direct counter to score, or whether it was a penalty, they win a penalty and then they kick it down there, they get a, so it was kind of like a repetition of the same thing over and over and over. To me, that's a reflection of poor coaching, in that you can't, you need to be pragmatic and stop those kinds of things that I have. It's happening over the course of 80 minutes. You need to do something to stop it.
yeah,
So in that
yeah.
way, it's either a lack of preparation or a lack of pragmatism, in that you need to somehow stop this, and they just couldn't stop
Mm,
it. And it's just the
yeah.
same thing kept happening over and over and over and over again.
And it looked too easy for the Bulls as well.
Yeah.
I think the Lions were just looking at it. When you think about it, they were flat. It's almost like the Bulls brought their intensity. And they had to, of
Yeah.
course, because it's the coach's old stomping ground. And I'm sure there must have been some choice words there to say, not gonna embarrass me here. you know,
But this is also the thing where you can see his blueprint is finally settling in on the
it's
team. They're
starting.
playing counter-attacking
Mm,
rugby. They're
mm,
playing
mm.
ball in hand rugby. They're getting it
Yeah,
done. So the message is getting through.
yeah. And it's what's helping him as well. It's also his selection. I think
Yeah.
the guys that are able to play the way that he wants, they're starting to show themselves. It's been a slow sort of build up. Even when you look at the last couple of games leading up to that match at Ellis Park, and almost like the Lions on defense, like you say, they were fanning out. It's almost like they were under the impression that, look, and that's because of, I'd say maybe they were naive because of looking at previous games of the Bulls. They were probably like, they're gonna make mistakes. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? They were probably
Yeah.
like, no, let's let them. They're gonna give it back to us, and instead it was
And it
the
turned
other
out
way
the other way.
around.
Yeah, yeah. It turned out the other
Yeah,
way around.
so that's that. With the Lions, they are completely disappointing, and it's again, it becomes one of those things. I mean, we'll see how they fare the rest of the season, but it's looking like it's going to be one of those seasons where, they promised, but failed to deliver.
Yeah,
And
they build up like
yeah,
I won't be surprised if they have like a good showing this week and then you build up to something else and then it completely falls off again. That seems like the pattern that they're
yeah,
in is where they do something, especially they're kind of dangerous after a few weeks of rest. They go in, they did
definitely,
well against
and
the
at home,
Stormers. Yeah, and they did well against the Stormers, for example, and then it kind of just falls off a cliff at some stage.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, but like you say, usually after a break, they have that intensity. They're fresher. So I think definitely a better showing this weekend. But I don't think they'll get the result. Because I don't think they'll get the result. I must say those quarters because I
Yeah.
think the Sharks, not that I wouldn't say that they've turned the corner, but they understanding themselves better. They are understanding what they want to do better, and they're comfortable with what they're doing, and you see that
Yeah.
with it's that they want to be forward dominant and use the big guys, to get them over the advantage line and then hurt teams with speed. Then they're also able to have control, with a guy like Jaden finding his form again, so they're able to blend,
Yeah.
the game that when it's on, and then you've got Fasi being a game breaker as well. Guys are stepping up. So the curve is up for the Sharks,
Yeah.
and for the Lions, it's it's wobbly. So when they intercept, that's where the Sharks will beat them. I'm just saying.
Yeah, just capping off on the Lions. I think this team they're in desperate need of a number 6 and a number 10. I
Mm,
just feel like they're not competing enough on the ground. I saw when Marco van Staden came in, the impact that he made, and it's like we need a type of player like that.
yeah,
And that kind of player is on the bench for the Bulls. Number
yeah.
10, we need a Nohamba, but Nohamba is in Japan. So
This is in
those are
Japan.
the yeah,
Saki.
those are the two things where if you're trying to solve problems beyond the coach, those are the two
Yeah.
things
We
that I
for,
like.
we forgot talking about number 10s. Gianni Lombard also to the Sharks.
Yes, yes,
That was one way as well. And I think good signing, brilliant. And he's been looking better, finding form.
yeah,
I think for him, and I really wish this for him that he can, find some consistency, consistent game time, stay injury free, and
yeah,
really do well at the Sharks because we've seen, and as much as I'm a Sharks supporter, I'll say this as well that we've seen quality talent go there and not, make it, and you can't understand why. So you hope for him that it does pan out, and I
yeah.
think definitely for the Sharks, the intention to sign such a player, I think, is very good.
I think that's
Um,
a great yeah, that's a great signing. That's a great signing. The
yeah,
only the thing
yeah,
with him is injuries. But beyond injuries, when he has played, he's been good. I don't know why he's fallen out of the rotation recently, but when he has played, he's been good. It's an upgrade in terms of young Hakim Kunene, and it's an upgrade in terms of he's a guy that can cover 10 and cover 15. So it's a solution to our problems that the Sharks have, and I think he'll fit in well. He'll do a job there. Um, yeah, moving on. Stormers, Sharks hosting the Stormers there.
Yeah,
Sharks to the double, the back to back. Um, like you said, Jaden Hendrickson, it's unfair because they've got Grant Williams that's there, Bok, and he's playing with such tempo and he's getting the team
yeah,
going like deep into the first half, into second half. Then you've got Jaden Hendricks that comes on and then he does something completely different. And even
yeah,
in my notes, I was just like, it's unfair, but life's unfair that you have
yeah.
these sort of players doing this. You've got Reinach also trying to up the pace and do his thing, but it wasn't the same. There were
It wasn't the
levels.
same.
There were
Yeah,
levels, and the tempo that Grant Williams was playing with, and the pack, like when the pack is with you, he's almost playing like an extra
yes,
forward, where it's like
yeah,
you guys are playing as
yeah,
nine. You're playing as nine players together, and it was sort of like that tempo that he was playing with was so good. And then you have Hendrickson coming on, and he's back in his form, and then you have other
yeah,
Hendrickson who's showing some kind of form, and I think it's the backing of JP Pietersen where he's playing a bit better.
yeah. I think so. And yes, the tempo that the Sharks were playing with against the Stormers. Look, for a moment early on, you would have thought, hey, the Stormers, because they got a hit back, right away after the Sharks scored. It looked like, okay, no, this is going to be one of those games.
Yeah,
But like you said, the nine, the pack of the Sharks, they rolled up their sleeves, they got to work. And also the Stormers, the unforced errors didn't help them as well. I must say that the mistakes, I think, again, it goes back to the pressure because the Sharks, if you look at that game, they were relentless. I think
yeah,
even from a defensive point of view, how they were just hunting guys down, and just they were just always just in the contest. I think that's one of the things that stuck out for me is that they were always contesting. And the communication is so much better on the field. I mean, you can even you could even hear from the sideline mic, where guys are talking to each other, telling guys, okay, no, go down, do this, and it's working. It looks like like I was saying, there's an understanding of what they want to do and how they're going to do it and who's doing what, and I think that's what got them the result at the end of the day. On top of that, the relentlessness for me, they were just working hard, just and together, connected. You know what I mean? And chasing, just just chasing lost causes. Because you saw even with that. Because I mean, the Stormers. It's not like the Sharks ran away with it. As much as the
mm,
Stormers were making mistakes and whatnot. At a point, I think was it 11 points or 7 points in it, if I'm not mistaken, where um I forgot his name and Jack, but what I'm talking about, where where he scored that try,
yeah,
off of Jacko Williams, off
yeah.
of um,
That wasn't a try, by the
Khalat's.
way. That wasn't a try.
I, look,
Like
look,
I'll give it to them. Like we say, it's not a refereeing podcast. It's
mm,
whatever. It's whatever. But that wasn't a
yeah,
try.
look, like you said, bygones are bygones, so bygone that one as well. It was given, but
Yeah,
things like that, and that's where the moments, I think the moments, the Sharks, they won those moments, and the Stormers as well were uh, they were also they were their own worst enemy.
yeah,
In terms of the unforced errors, but from a physical point of view, the Sharks they really stepped up, and we saw a lot of their big guys. We wrapped them up. The guys. There's that guy. Where it was like, no, he's bad. I told you, when I wrap him up, they wrapped him up. You understand? They did. So
Yeah,
for me, it's that Sharks pack working, and it goes back to what we were saying earlier, about what the coach is bringing, and those changes that are happening, and we're seeing it on the field, and yeah, sometimes you do need the luck of those unforced errors. It happens. It works in your favor, but you have to be in the zone to capitalize. And the Sharks, they made sure they took their opportunities. Yes, they might have left others out there, but can't complain, and you
yeah,
just expect to see a curve.
yeah. For me, just other things in the game. Sharks kickoffs, they've been vulnerable there. That's a work on where they need to. We've seen in the back to back, the kickoffs have just been disastrous for them.
Yeah.
Like I said, the tempo. Sasha's kicking better. He's kind of stepped up from the week before, but there'll still
Mm.
be questions there in terms of him and his leadership.
Yeah.
Um, Not that I'm questioning it. It's
Nah, like, man, look, there will be questions. Let the young man, the only way to learn and is he must play. And O'Gara even said it, so
yeah,
how else is he going to, let him be in the frying pan,
yeah.
you can only get better from that.
Yeah, and then the obvious cheat code for me was that two box scrum halves back to back. That's
Yeah,
that's a real cheat code that
yeah.
they have for as long as
Yeah.
they have it. But yeah, moving on to this coming week, the fixture, the main fixture, the main event.
No, this is the one. This is the main event. This is the main event, Coders. This is the main event, and I've been saying it the whole time today. Uh,
The only URC game that
yeah,
we've got, the only URC game that even matters in the competition.
that
Uh,
matters. Yes, yes, the one that matters. This one. Look, Coders. I know the Lions will come out roaring. They'll want to, put things right, but the Sharks are on the up, and they're going to have to, make it three in a row, big wins, So yeah, I'm sorry to say this, but it'll be a tight one. But no, the Sharks they should do the business.
yeah, I don't think so. Okay, let me put it like this.
Ah,
This is where the Lions thrive. Once we've had a break, once we can tula kangmani, once we can just we can think about things, we can this is when we can do things.
yeah,
So I believe it won't be what you think it'll be. I'll just put it that way. I don't believe it's what I
yeah.
think that I'm not gonna say the Lions are gonna win. I'm not gonna
Oh,
say, but what I will
yeah. All I
say,
want is a win.
no, because I don't necessarily think the Sharks will win. I'm just saying that this one is
Ah,
gonna be it's gonna be more physical than you think. It's gonna be closer than you think. It's gonna be
yeah.
it's gonna be a
No, this
real
is going to be
contest,
close. It's going to be
and
close.
that's
Yeah.
that's my opinion of things. Like I said, we're missing players in vital positions. We need a 10, we need a
Mm,
6, but
mm,
ultimately,
mm, mm, mm,
ultimately,
mm.
we will. They can be cardboard in those positions. The rest of the guys will unite and uplift them, and
No,
they
it's
will.
fine.
The tide will rise.
No, it's fine.
Klekani will.
Yeah, the tide will rise.
And
We
Klabakanya
bring in
was
the
they
tide.
were.
We bring in the tide for sure. It will rise. We
But
bring in the
anyway, I
tide.
think yeah, that's it from us, guys. Thanks for
Yes,
watching.
sir. Yes,
Thanks
sir.
for listening.